I want my pin back, Scarlett Johansson calls out James Franco during her women's. I want my pin back, Scarlett Johansson calls out James Franco during her Women's March speech after Golden Globe winner was accused of sexual misconduct by 5 different women. Scarlett Johansson delivered a powerful speech on Saturday at the Women's March in Los Angeles, calling out James Franco for claiming to support the Time's Up movement. How could a person publicly stand by an organization that helps to provide support for victims of sexual assault while privately preying on people who have no power, the Avengers star asked, in front of the massive crowd. It comes as thousands of women march on Washington to commemorate a year since the historic Women's March on January 21, a day after Trump's inauguration. This year, the marches also take on the momentum of the Me Too and Time's Up movements against sexual misconduct, which were sparked with allegations against Hollywood heavyweights. Johansson didn't refer to Franco by name while on the microphone, but one of her representatives later confirmed to the Los Angeles Times that she was talking directly to the disaster artist-actor, who has been publicly accused of sexual misconduct by 5 women. I want my pin back, by the way, she said, referencing the Time's Up pin Franco wore at the Golden Globe Awards on January 7, an act of expression which inspired his accusers to come forward. Franco has denied all of the allegations lodged against him, saying he supports the women's rights to tell their stories. The Time's Up movement was created by leaders in politics and the entertainment industry to support and help fund legal defense for people who have experienced inequity in the workplace, across all industries. Johansson is one of the original founders, and a major supporter to the cause. The movement came about as a direct result of the Me Too social media campaign, which was kicked off in October by reports of rampant sexual misconduct by entertainment mogul Harvey Weinstein. Me Too, which was first started offline more than a decade ago by Tarana Burke, inspired women from all walks of life across the U.S. to share stories of sexual harassment, assault, and abuses of power they experienced at the hands of men who had power over them. A total of 5 women have accused Franco of sexual misconduct or abuse of power, sharing their stories as part of the movement, including 4 student actors he worked with at Studio 4 and Playhouse West. Through his attorney, Michael Plonskier, Franco has denied the allegations that emerged first on social media, and then later came out in more detail in an article by the Los Angeles Times published on January 11. 4 of the accusers are former acting students of 39-year-old Franco, and claim the Oscar nominee pressured women both on set and in class to perform topless or even completely nude. The 5th woman said Franco was a mentor to her. The accusations include Franco's alleged removal of plastic guards covering female actors' genitalia during simulated sex scenes and his becoming visibly angry when females would not appear nude or topless. I feel there was an abuse of power, and there was a culture of exploiting non-celebrity women, and a culture of women being replaceable, said Sarah Tyther Kaplan, one of Franco's former acting students included in the piece by The Times. Students from Studio 4 said there was a feeling that small parts would be made available only to those who would agree to appear semi-nude or nude. Franco would always make everybody think there were possible roles on the table if we were to perform sexual acts or take off our shirts in his projects, Katie Ryan told The Times. Studio 4 closed in the fall before any of these allegations were brought to light. Vince Jolivet, the CEO-owner of Rabbit Bandini, which ran Studio 4, said in a statement provided by Franco's attorney that the school was always run professionally, that instructors were excellent, and student feedback was positive. The statement also added that these complaints are very inconsistent with the mission of the school, and are being investigated. The allegations first started coming out on social media, after Franco wore a Time's Up pin at Sunday's Golden Globe Awards. It was midway through the shoot, which took place at a strip club, when they claim Franco asked them if they would be willing to go topless. When none of the women volunteered, he allegedly stormed off the set. Actress Ali Sheedy made waves when she called out Franco on Sunday, doing so in a series of tweets throughout the show. After Franco spoke, Ali Sheedy of the Breakfast Club fame tweeted asking why Franco was allowed into the awards show. She also wrote, "Please never ever ask me why I left the film/TV business. But her tweets were quickly deleted. Then other women came forward. Franco responded to the claims that came across Twitter feeds in an interview with Stephen Colbert, saying, "There were some things on Twitter. I haven't read them. I've heard about them," Franco said. "First of all, I have no idea what I did to Ally Sheedy. I directed her in a play off-Broadway. I had nothing but a great time with her, total respect for her. I have no idea why she was upset. The others, in my life, I pride myself on taking responsibility for things that I've done. The things I heard that were on Twitter are not accurate, but I completely support people coming out and being able to have a voice, because they didn't have a voice for so long. So, I don't want to shut them down in any way. It's, I think, a good thing, and I support it." Colbert then asked Franco if he had any insight on how people should reconcile differing recollections of past experiences that they were both involved in. "The way I live my life, I can't live if there's restitution to be made, I will make it. So, if I've done something wrong, I will fix it. I have to," he said. "As far as the bigger issues, you know, how we do it, I really don't have the answers, and I think the point of this whole thing is that we listen." There were incredible people talking that night. They had a lot to say, and I'm here to listen and learn and change my perspective where it's off. I'm completely willing, and I want to. Standing up for women like those who shared their stories about Franco has now become part of Johansson's mission, as one of the signatories on the founding letter for Time's Up. It's also personal for Johansson, she shared from the podium on Saturday, while producer Dina Katz held her microphone. Johansson said that as she heard more and more stories of women who had been taken advantage of, and had been unheard and unseen, she started to feel not only rage, but also sadness and guilt, for herself. "Suddenly I was 19 again and I began to remember all the men who had taken advantage of the fact that I was a young woman who didn't yet have the tools to say no, or understand the value of my own self-worth," Johansson said. "I had many relationships, both personal and professional, where the power dynamic was so off that I had to create a narrative that I was the cool girl who could hang in and hang out, and that sometimes meant compromising what felt right for me." The Time's Up advocate said she has now come to her own reckoning. "No more pandering," she said. "No more feeling guilty about hurting someone's feelings when something doesn't feel right for me. I have made a promise to myself to be responsible to myself, that in order to trust my instincts I must first respect them." Johansson was one of dozens of celebrities who took part in women's marches around the country Saturday, the anniversary of the inauguration of President Donald Trump. Natalie Portman, Eva Longoria, Leslie Ann Warren and Gay Harden all joined Johansson in Los Angeles, while Jane Fonda, Chloe Moretz and Common marched in Park City, Utah, and Amy Schumer, Padma Lakshmi and Amber Tamblyn took to the streets of New York City. As processions of pink, pussy hats and illustrations asking for Trump to be impeached made their way through the nation's many cities, Trump ignored their complaints about him and said, "Beautiful weather all over our great country, a perfect day for all women to march. Get out there now to celebrate the historic milestones and unprecedented economic success and wealth creation that has taken place over the last 12 months. Lowest female unemployment in 18 years. This year, the marches also take on the momentum of the Me Too and Time's Up movements against sexual misconduct, which were sparked with allegations against Hollywood heavyweights. They also coincided with a government shutdown which went into place late on Friday night. Some 250 cities around the world were planning to play host to some form of women's march on Saturday. In Park City, Utah, Jane Fonda led a snow-dusted march. A number of stars are in the winter resort for the annual Sundance Film Festival. Fonda, 80, looked impassioned as she took the podium in a black hat, beige and grey coat, large scarf and pink gloves with several orange beaded bracelets. She was joined by Chloe Moretz, who didn't let the snow bother her as she wore a heavy coat. She had on a knit cap too and a ring on her wedding finger with a bee on it for Brooklyn Beckham. Among them was lawyer Gloria Allred, who delighted in joining the Hollywood crowd. She is the subject of a new Netflix documentary. In New York City, Whoopi Goldberg was joined by Padma Lakshmi and Yoko Ono, who invoked her late husband John Lennon's song on a sign which read, "Imagine Peace." Adele shared an image from a march with Jennifer Lawrence and Cameron Diaz. She said, "The most influential people in my life have always been women. My family, my friends, my teachers, my colleagues, and my idols. I am obsessed with all the women in my life. I adore them and need them more and more every day. I am so grateful to be a woman, I wouldn't change it for the world. I hope I'm not only defined by my gender though. I hope I'm defined by my input to the world, my ability to love and to have empathy. To raise my son to be a good man alongside the good man who loves me for everything I am and am not. I want what's best for people, I think we all do. We just can't agree on what that is." Power to the peaceful, power to the people. Women's March 2018. Amy Schumer shared several Instagram photos from NYC. "Today we march. Time's up," she added. On Saturday, Trump was stuck in Washington, D.C., grounded by the overnight government shutdown, and unable to fly to Mar-a-Lago to attend a celebratory anniversary party to which tickets were sold at $100,000 each. Sources inside the White House said he was upset he would likely miss the event, which he was referring to as "my party," according to the Daily Beast. In Chicago, Viola Davis gave a rousing speech, and in Rome, Asia Argento led a group of marchers through the city. Argento was the first woman to go on the record to accuse the disgraced movie mogul Harvey Weinstein of rape in October. Countless women followed with claims against the 65-year-old. Many of the protests were directed towards Trump's immigration policies and his plans for DACA, which shut down the government on Friday night when Democrats refused to move forward with talks. "People were pretty damn mad last year and they're pretty damn mad this year," said Tamika Mallory, CO president of the Women's March Board. "Like last year, thousands of marchers donned pink knit pussy hats, which were created last year after the president's infamous "grab them by the PY hot mic" remark was made public. They became a symbol for the disdain thousands of women carried and still harbor against the president."